Welcome back. In 2005, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad appointed Parviz Kazemi to his cabinet as Minister of Welfare and Social Security. A year later, in 2006, Mr. Kazemi left the Ahmadinejad government under a cloud of controversy. Currently one of the most visible and popular figures in Iranian politics, Mr. Kazemi was recently in Vancouver and granted us an exclusive interview. Mr. Kazemi, thank you for joining us. You were in the Ahmadinejad government. When Mr. Ahmadinejad was elected, a lot of people in the world looked at it with surprise. I think pretty quickly there was an impression, certainly from the West, that Mr. Ahmadinejad was perhaps a bit radical. Why did you join his government?
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, first of all, I'd like to refer to the anniversary of the victory of the Islamic Revolution, and I would like to commemorate it, and it's also coinciding with the death anniversary of Islam's prophet. As for the question, I think that after the victory of the Islamic Revolution, deep political and social developments took place, developments which might not be quite justifiable within the international standards and norms, but the fact is that we experienced new things, and we just felt that the country was in dire need of an economic development, industrial development, and the social welfare had to be improved. The standards of living had to be improved. And when Mr. Ahmadinejad came to power, I thought that his main goal was to improve those standards of living and to raise the level of the social welfare. We agreed on a lot of things, and then that's when I decided to join the cabinet.
About a year into your tenure in the cabinet, you were ousted. Some people saw that, a lot of observers saw that as a warning to others within the government to toe the line. Why were you removed from the government?
Naturally, whoever accepts a responsibility in a government should reach complete understanding with his superior, with his boss. And there should be an environment in which the two sides can exchange views and opinions freely and fruitfully. So when the head of a government decides that he cannot perhaps work with someone, or he can work with somebody else better than with the existing minister, he has full authority to change that minister in order to facilitate the process of the job. So that's why Mr. Ahmadinejad thought that he could replace me with somebody else. We just sat and talked, and we reached full consensus and understanding, and then that's why he chose another minister for the post.
In the West, we have an image of Ahmadinejad, partly cultivated by him, by the way he gives interviews and the way he presents himself. But we don't often get a sense of him from people who know him, people who've worked with him. What is he like? I mean, did you like him? What's his personality really like in closed doors?
Well, Mr. Ahmadinejad is definitely very interested in his work, and he's very interested in working for his country. This thing which is special about him is that he spends a lot of time in his work, and he has a lot of perseverance, so he follows his objectives in a very serious way. He doesn't let go of them. And the thing is that, as I mentioned, he spends a lot of time. So in terms of the volume of the things which he does, he's quite an exceptional person.
This last election, a lot of people, both outside and inside of Iran, contested the legitimacy of it. I mean, we saw thousands and thousands of Iranians marching in the streets. Were you concerned about the legitimacy of the last election?
We have the rules, and based on those rules, the election is over, the government is in place, and we might not question the legitimacy of the government at this point. What is important and what matters is how to manage the country in an efficient way, in a way that can boost the economic, industrial, and scientific levels of the nation. So we do need and we do reserve a better status in the world, in the region. So the question is now to raise the efficiency of the government and to offer a good management.
You do, however, have a large youth movement in Iran. We've seen thousands of young people marching in the streets. Many of them have been attacked by police. You know, I know a number of Iranian people who get upset by these sort of stereotypes of the outside world about, they say, Persian Empire was a great empire. Iran is an extremely sophisticated country, educationally, technologically, certainly militarily and economically. And yet, when we in the West see images like attacks on innocent people in the street, it seems to reinforce some of the stereotypes that Iranians want to shed. Don't you find that?
I think that my suggestion for the people who analyze or would like to analyze the conditions of Iran is that they come to Iran and they become familiar with the culture and traditions of this nation. That paves the way for a better understanding of these conditions. If you just review the developments which took place after the revolution, we notice that the country has had deep and strong political, economic, even industrial changes. You're right that the youth movement has to be taken seriously. We should pay attention to their demands. They need good education and employment, and we need to come up with more efficient and more proper mechanisms for encountering this young generation. We should be able to identify correctly this youth movement, as you just put it. My understanding is that those who are managing the country at present are really interested in finding out what the concerns of the younger generation are. But the point is that if we are not able to fully understand those concerns, it's because we are still experiencing democracy. We're experiencing how to talk or how to come up with the right discourse. So we are now trying to find our weak points, and then we will be better in the future.
My understanding is there's even concern, and I've even spoken with young Iranians in Iran who've said there is sort of a move away from the Ayatollahs. A lot of young people are becoming more secular, are rejecting some of the philosophies of the revolution. Is that something that concerns you?
Quite on the contrary, I believe that the younger generation is not moving towards secularism. The sensitivity that the youth show towards what's happening in the country shows that they're reaching some kind of an intellectual maturity. So the youth are playing their roles at this juncture. After the revolution, these were the younger people who went to the war fronts with Iraq. They managed the war entirely. So despite, unlike what you were saying, I personally believe that the intellectual basis of the younger generation has been strengthened recently, and that has been followed by an intellectual strengthening of the religious beliefs as well. The mere fact that these discussions are taking place in the country among the younger generation, it's proof that they're reaching some kind of an intellectual maturity. The other point is that we noticed that in the recent developments that the younger generation or the younger people, when they wanted to make their presence felt publicly, they were using religious slogans or religious symbols such as Allahu Akbar or God is great, or they were using some symbols which related to Imam Hussein. So that shows that the younger generation, when they want to express their feelings, they're still depending on religious norms and religious concepts.